What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily. This is your boy Chris Kane with your daily dose of Dolphin talk. And again, if it's the Miami Dolphins, there's some drama somewhere. Now, this drama did not come from the Dolphins directly. These are outside shots, which is kind of crazy. But we start with Chris Sims, who, if you know, Chris Sims will take shots at people. He's done it for years. That's kind of his bag, where he says something kind of snide. I don't know if it's a click thing or if that's just how he feels. But he made a comment in regards to Brock Purdy. And somehow Tua started catching strays, and so that's why we're here. So the conversation was San Francisco said they want to give Brock Purdy an extension, and they want to do it quick. They don't want to mess around because the longer you don't pay somebody, the more the money goes up, right? That's what Cincinnati has an issue with Jamar Chase right now because they didn't pay him last offseason, and then he won the Triple Crown. So whatever the number was, yesterday's price is not today's price, right? So they were talking about Brock Purdy, and I guess Chris Sims and Mike Florio don't think Brock Purdy is worth the amount of money that Brock Purdy is going to get. And so he actually had this quote. I'll read it from the horse's mouth directly. He said, Tua is the perfect example. Nobody in football was giving Tua $55 million. The Miami Dolphins negotiated against themselves, and they put themselves in trouble. You can't have the highest paid guy on your team be one of the biggest problems in the big game. That's Ah, woof. Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't think he actually is 100% wrong. The Tua contract can go either way. Depends on how you think about it. There's some language in there. There's some injury clauses. It's not exactly like here's all. It's not a Deshaun Watson contract where we have to have 250 ready for you right now, right? But there are a lot of people outside the league who thought Tua on the open market wouldn't get 55 million, but Tua for the Dolphins might be worth that, right? So it's not always what's your open field market. Sometimes you just fit really well on a good team. So, is Brock Purdy worth 55 million? No, I don't believe he is. But San Francisco hasn't had a good quarterback really since Kaepernick, really, and that was a blip. Like Jimmy G, a lot of people thought they were winning in spite of Jimmy G, and so we know with the Nick Mullins and the Pastronaut and everyone else they had on their team, they haven't really been great. So is Purdy the best since then? Yeah, probably. And he's really good in that system. But, Trent Williams' contract, Debo, Bosa. Like, you go down the list, they're paying a lot of people, and some guys probably have to get Ayuk. And so they were bringing up the Tua thing. And now that Tua's making the money he's making, Chris Greer's talked about one of the reasons we couldn't get a good backup is because we were kind of cap strapped. And if you look at Miami's team, like, they're paying Jalen a decent amount of money. They're paying tackles, guards, what have you. But Tua is the main lion's share of it. And part of the issue for the Dolphins is that they haven't been able to build a team, especially in the trenches, because we don't have the available money to do so. So, and we're paying two receivers combined almost $60 million on top of all that, right? We haven't been paying A-Chain yet. So, is Chris Sims wrong in this? I don't know if he's wrong. I'm sure Tua's like, hey, man, get my name out your mouth. I'm trying to live my life. I got a family to feed. But it's a thing. When you pay your quarterback, I personally think there's only like 5 quarterbacks who should get paid top of the market. I think everyone else should get paid below market. You see the Danny Dimes situation. Sam Darnold tonight, woof. Trade value, money value just blew up. Just wasn't a good game. But Baker, I think, is making like 35, something like that. And I think for Baker, that might even be a little undervalued, but I think it's a really good team value. And Tampa took care of him. And I think there should be 2 tiers. There should be your Himothy, and we can basically let a lot of this other stuff go. I mean, look at Cincinnati. They got no defense and no O-line, and they made the playoffs. Look at Mahomes. Mahomes gets paid decently well, but they had to let L'Jarius Sneed go, who was the top corner last year, right? There's sacrifices to be made. The Dolphins, they're paying Tua. They had to lose Van Ginkel. They might have to lose Jalen at some point. Maybe Javon in the offseason. So there's decisions to be made. And I don't know. I don't think Chris Sims is wrong. Just get my quarterback's name out your mouth. But it's not just Chris Sims. Your man Cam Newton out here talking smack too. And if you know Cam, and I'm a Cam fan. Like I'm from Gainesville. Cam originally was at UF. People don't know that because he went to Auburn and won a chip. But he was at Florida first, and then he left. But I've always been a Cam fan. I like Cam's honesty. And honestly, I watched him carry a team to a championship in college. And go 15-1 and make it to the Super Bowl before losing to the Broncos. So Cam has some pedigree in terms of quarterback talk. And as a specimen, Cam was a physical freak. I mean, he was Josh Allen 10 years early, where he would just take on linebackers, and linebackers like, don't hit me, don't run at me, Cam. Like, it was crazy, and unfortunately, it probably shortened his career. So Cam was talking about Tyreek Hill, and I don't know if he spoke to Tyreek Hill. He didn't really specify that, but apparently Tyreek's frustrations is that Tyreek is a deep threat receiver, and Tua may not have the requisite arm strength to really maximize what Tyreek is, right? So he actually had a quote, and he said, "I think the verdict's out with Tua Tagovailoa and his arm strength. That's a real thing. Everybody wants stars until you have to realize what comes with those stars." And I think he's talking about, to some degree, when Tyreek first came there, he's talking about Tua's the most accurate, and he was comparing him to Mahomes, and people are like, why would you do that? And he was bigging up his quarterback. Like, what else is he going to do? But Mahomes is Mahomes. He's the best guy going right now. So when you compare the two, the skill set should probably be similar. Like, if you went to Baltimore and said, yo, L-Jack and Mahomes do the same thing, people would be like, all right, but Mahomes is probably better. When you mentioned Tua, people were like, Tua? To Mahomes? Like, it sounded wild. Now, the stats don't really bear out what Cam is saying, but the eyeball test does. So Miami has their top 5 in deep throws. A lot of Tyreek's pass plays were over that yardage, but not all of them had air yardage that was far. So some of it will be broken coverage. It might be Tyreek catching a 30-yard pass and a running 20 yards, so it counts as a 50-yard catch. But, I mean, you can go back. I don't know the last time I've seen Tua go back and throw like a 55-yard bomb. And that's never was his game, not really. And it's just his hip injury. I don't think he can like rotate into the ball enough to get that much juice on it. If he can like load up and really let it go. But if you go back and watch the film, and I watch the game, so I'm watching the games in real time, when he's throwing past 45, 50, the ball kind of hangs up. And I'm not a quarterback guru, but I actually look at that Carson Palmer's younger brother, Jordan Palmer, I think. He does like a podcast. He talks about mechanics, and he says like when Tua throws a deep ball, he basically like opens his whole body up to try to generate force, but what it does is the ball kind of dies. This is a little bit too in the weeds, but it's a thing you have to do when you don't think you have just the requisite torque power and arm strength. You got to manufacture power. It will be like, remember when you were young and you were trying to shoot a 3 in basketball, and you couldn't just like jump and flip the wrist. You almost had to like do a push shot to get the ball out there. And as you got better and older and bigger, you went more to like a traditional shot. So I think what Cam was saying essentially is that, yes, Tua's really good at intermediate. He's really good at accuracy. But Tyreek is like a Ferrari that's being asked to drive like residential. Right? Like he wants to just go. And it's like, hey, let's just follow the speed limit. And so I don't believe Cam has any beef with Tua. I think he's seeing the game and he's a quarterback, and maybe this is him lobbying on some level to be on the team. But I also think he's being somewhat objective because there's been Tua arm strength questions his whole tenure, right? And every time Tua throws a long pass in a press conference, he'll get spicy Tua on you. Like, hey, that long ball looked pretty good to me. Like, remember when he said that? Like, he knows what people are saying, and I think he probably shouldn't play into it as much as he does sometimes, but it's a thing. I also think that Tyreek is just Tyreek. You can't take everything he says seriously. I think Tyreek's kind of emotional. He'll be up, he'll be down. It's not that deep. I also think, like the Chris Sims thing, though, there is some truth in this. I don't know if it's all true, but there's some truth in it. Speaking of quarterbacks, we have a backup quarterback question. Both of the backup quarterbacks, Skylar Thompson is on the practice squad, but technically he's on the roster. And that expires like now. And then Huntley is a free agent now. And so the question is, what does Miami do with their backup quarterback? Did Huntley do enough to keep the backup job? There's no way Skylar Thompson is coming back. You can forget that right now. Hang it up. He might be on the Jets next year. He might be in the Arena League. I don't even think Skylar's bad. I just think the fan base is not here for it. So we know Skylar's not coming back. Huntley, who knows? He showed flashes, but I don't think Huntley's skill set perfectly matches the system. The fact that he's mobile adds an element to the team that's kind of cool. But I don't. If you think going to next year, if Tua goes down for 5-6 games, Huntley's got us. He got us. I don't feel like he's got us. I feel like he's serviceable, which means that it needs to be an upgrade. We can't have that. We can't go into next year with the same problem as this year. So I don't know who the backup is. Like, I would love a Mariota. Are you serious? Nah, I don't think Mariota's leaving because he's Jaden's backup, and they seem to have a good chemistry. But also, Jaden is slight in frame. Like, he's tall, but he's like skinny, and so the likelihood of Jaden getting nicked up seems like not off the board. And they obviously have a good team. He knows the system already. So I don't think Mariota's going anywhere. But I'm like, if we can pull a Mariota as the backup, that'd be fantastic. Tannehill's not coming back. We know that already. He wants to start. And so Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones is the backup quarterback. I think Russell Wilson will be amazing, but Russell will probably want to come to compete for the job. I'm throwing some names out there. You guys let me know in the comments who you think should be the backup, because I said Joe Flacco like a day or two ago, but if you're asking me who I really want, I want someone who has some running ability and okay accuracy, so maybe Daniel Jones should not be on the list. But let me know. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to Dolphins Daily. This is Chris Kane. I'll be back with more Dolphins talk tomorrow. Again, let us know in the comments like what you want to talk about or how you feel about the topics we talked about today. And I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.